Good Tuesday morning, everyone. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. In today's weather forecast, we have lots to unpack in today's video. We have a West Coast storm bringing heavy rain and heavy snow across the western United States through the middle of this week. Then a severe weather outbreak and winter storm are still on track later this week. We'll get to those details. And then a powerful storm is looking possible next week with a snowstorm and quite possibly a classic tornado outbreak unfolding early next week. We'll get to those details later on in this video. If you guys are not yet subscribed to the YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button down below so you don't miss out on all of my daily weather forecast updates each and every morning at 9 a.m. on this channel. I cover southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics during tropical weather season, so make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and slap the like button. The more likes we get on this video, the more this video gets out to as many people as possible across the YouTube platform. So I definitely appreciate all the new subscribers and the likes out there. But going through today, we have that stubborn cold front that's continuing to slowly drift off to the south across the southeast and into northern Florida today, and that is the focal point for more severe weather. However, it's a lower end threat for severe weather. We have a level 1 of 5, a marginal risk. That's down here toward Brownsville, Texas, and toward the Rio Grande Valley, and as well across the New Orleans region, Mobile, Alabama, the northern Florida peninsula here, getting toward the Tallahassee region, Jacksonville, Florida, and then on up towards Savannah, Georgia later on today. And you can see just south of that boundary, we're going to see dew points rising into the upper 60s to near 70 degrees. That will yield some moderate instability across these areas, especially into southern Georgia and North Florida. And you see the brighter the colors are in the yellow, that's about 2,000 joules per kilogram developing here across parts of southern Georgia and North Florida this afternoon. And what this will do is provide the threat for some widely scattered severe thunderstorms. So at noon time frame, we got those kicking off across southeastern Alabama, southwest Georgia into the northwest Florida panhandle. Some damaging winds, large hail, and maybe a brief tornado spin up is possible. We also have to watch back here into southern Texas for a couple of isolated storms that could bring some hail and some damaging winds as well. That pushes to the east as we head through the 6 o'clock time frame this evening. Again, pushing into Savannah, Georgia, Jacksonville Beach there, maybe as far south as Orlando. We definitely have to watch out for some stronger storms. But by the time we get into 6 a.m. on Wednesday for your Wednesday morning commute across both South Texas and the Gulf Coast, including North Florida here, we are going to be clearing out maybe just some renegade showers across portions in Northeast and East Texas by Wednesday morning. Looking at the rainfall totals, this is your total rainfall accumulation from now through Wednesday morning with these storms across Louisiana, across the New Orleans region, southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, southern portions of Georgia, and North Florida here. We're going to be seeing 1 to as much as 3 inches of rain at the most with these storms as they push across that boundary this afternoon and into this evening. And that could yield the threat for some flash flooding. We have a marginal to slight risk for flash flooding with the highest chance of that in the yellow shaded color here across southern Mississippi, southern Alabama, southwest Georgia, into northwest Florida. That goes from now all the way through Wednesday morning. But our next significant trough is taking shape across the West Coast this afternoon, and that will continue to dive down across central and eventually southern California by the middle of this week on Wednesday, March 29th. And what this system will be responsible for is more heavy snow. We got winter weather headlines out here across Oregon and California, especially the Sierra Nevadas there, where we're seeing winter storm warnings, and that is with very heavy snow expected through this week. So this afternoon, we're going to have that atmospheric river return first across northern California. Then as the system moves ashore, we're going to see that move farther south and toward the Sierra Nevada, Sacramento Valley, and then eventually southern California by the time we get into tomorrow morning on Wednesday morning. So this is going to be bringing lots of moisture in, not only with snow, but also some coastal rains that could be heavy at times as well. So you see by noon time frame today, we have some heavier snow from western and central Oregon down through northern California. But where it is warm enough to rain, especially near coastal California there into the northwestern side of the state, we will be seeing some potential flooding there going through the noon time frame. That will slowly drift southward toward the Sierra Nevadas and into central coastal California with the rain and snow by the time we get into this evening. And then even into Wednesday morning for your Wednesday morning commute out here, still seeing some off and on showers, even some snow showers mixing in. That will spread across Nevada, getting into western Idaho here, maybe even some snow showers up into the higher elevations of Washington State. That continues more or less into Wednesday evening, and then even on Thursday morning, getting to late this week on March 30th, some of the snowfall will be spreading across north central Idaho, western and central portions of Montana, into western Wyoming as well, with a lot of the inner Mountain West and those higher elevations starting to see the snow later on this week. So looking at the total rainfall accumulation from now through Thursday, March 30th, across the Pacific Northwest, where we do see the rain, primarily the coastal regions here of Washington, Oregon, and Northwest California with the heaviest rainfall amounts. We could be anywhere from a half an inch to as much as 2 inches of rain here with southward extent into northern California. Also moving down to the Pacific Southwest, we will be seeing some heavy rainfall into central coastal California, and then maybe even some rain down toward the Los Angeles region, getting through that Wednesday and Thursday time frame. The Los Angeles region seeing about a half inch to 3/4 of an inch of rain. San Francisco around an inch of rain, and then parts of the lower elevations of the Sierra Nevadas maybe getting an inch of rain there as well. That will lead to some flash flooding potential. From now through Wednesday morning on March 29th, tomorrow, we will have that marginal to slight risk for flash flooding. The highest chances of flash flooding, though, will be across central coastal California. So the closer you get to the coast, the more the flooding threat will be with the saturated soils out there. But now we look at the total snowfall accumulation. This is from now through Thursday, March 30th, later this week. We will be adding up some decent totals, especially the higher you go up in elevation. We're going to be seeing some totals over a foot here into central Idaho, portions of central eastern Oregon, getting into northern California here. We're going to be seeing over 2-3 feet of snow through the next couple of days. Even the higher elevations in northern and northeastern Nevada actually getting over a foot there as well into those areas. And then farther south here into the Sierra Nevadas, the central and southern Sierra Nevadas here, we're going to be seeing 2 to as much as 4 feet of snow now through Thursday, March 30th. So definitely seeing our fair share of more snow out here across California. What this will also do is beware. The travel impacts will be there. We have those major and extreme travel impacts, especially the higher you go up in elevation. So do beware of that if you are driving and traveling out west, especially across northern California and then down across the central and southern Sierra Nevadas as well through Thursday, March 30th. Then as we go into Thursday, this system is going to start to push eastward across the Four Corners region and then start to eject with that trough across the Midwest and portions of the mid-Mississippi Valley to end the month of March on Friday, March 31st. And this is going to bring our own trouble farther to the east. So on Wednesday, we start to see more of that return flow with the temperatures rising into the 50s, 60s, and 70s down here across the central and southern plains. But by the time we get into Thursday on March 30th, we see that warm sector actually going even farther north across Nebraska, Iowa, Kansas, Missouri. We could be seeing some 60s returning across portions of Omaha, Lincoln, Nebraska, and then even some 70s farther south there into the southern plains. And that is concerning. With those warmer temperatures, the Gulf of Mexico is open for moisture as a moisture source. Dew points will be surging into the 50s up here into western Iowa and Nebraska, but even some more stronger moisture down into the Red River down here into southern Oklahoma and Texas with dew points in the low to middle 60s. And that will yield enough instability coupled with a strong mid-level jet rounding the base of this trough for some severe storm activity by the time we get into Thursday afternoon and Thursday night. We have 2 areas we're watching here. Up farther to the north, closer to where that surface low will start to develop, we have a small area of marginally severe storms into east central Nebraska, possibly a brief tornado threat with that. And then farther south into central and southern Oklahoma and north Texas, this does include Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Fort Sill, the Lawton area, and then down into Wichita Falls here, just northwest of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We could be seeing some hailers, some large hail, some damaging winds, and maybe another brief spin-up tornado down here getting through Thursday night. So timing this out, Thursday afternoon, the warm sector is open. We have a lot of that warm air advection farther to the north. The moisture will be coming in. It's pretty capped off. We don't have a lot of moisture, or we don't have a lot of those storms popping out by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Even through the early evening hours, we see maybe a storm or two trying to pop through, but that capping inversion is going to be holding tough through the early evening hours before we start to see that erode slowly but surely toward Friday morning. However, it will be more of an unfavorable time of day for severe weather, so I'm not expecting a widespread severe weather outbreak on Thursday at all. But if a storm does pop up, do be on the lookout for large hail, damaging winds, or a brief tornado spin up, especially even northward toward that low pressure track into east central Nebraska. You do see some snow on the northwest side here into South Dakota, getting back into eastern Wyoming, northern Colorado through Friday morning. Watch out for that up toward the Rapid City area. Could be seeing some snowflakes flying around by Friday morning. But going back to the severe weather threat, the reason why we're seeing such a strong capping inversion and the storms will have trouble to develop is we have a very extensive drought across the central and southern plains, and this acts as a mechanism to cap off any thunderstorms farther east here into eastern Oklahoma and north Texas from developing on Thursday. So as long as we have a severe and extreme drought and even exceptional drought back to the west here, it will be tough with these events to start getting some big storms, so we'll be on the lookout for that. But on Friday, this system will start ejecting across the upper Midwest and the mid-Mississippi Valley, that warm sector all the way up into southern Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, northern Illinois. Temperatures will be in the 50s and 60s this far north, and the warm sector, the moist sector, getting all the way up with the dew points into the mid-50s at least into southern Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, into northern Illinois, and those 60-degree dew points not too far from the south from there into central, southern Illinois, all the way down toward the Gulf of Mexico on Friday. Again, we have a more powerful mid-level jet. This will be strengthening through the day with a deepening surface low, so this jet stream will be a lot stronger on Friday. And there we go. We got a severe weather outbreak likely to unfold all the way up here into eastern Iowa, west central Illinois, down through Missouri here, western Kentucky, western Tennessee, including the Memphis area, getting down into northwestern Mississippi toward Greenville, and in the Little Rock region, we could be talking about some widespread severe thunderstorms by Friday afternoon and Friday night. And even some of that severe threat will extend even farther east. So Fort Wayne, Gary, South Bend, Indiana, down toward Indianapolis, Lexington, Kentucky, southwestern portions of Ohio, and middle Tennessee toward the Music City and Nashville. We will have to watch out for some severe weather on Friday night. So looking at the setup on Friday, 7 o'clock in the morning, we got some storms trying to pop up, breaking through that capping inversion across southeast Kansas, central and southern Oklahoma toward the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. That warm front will be surging to the north Friday morning, but by the time we get into peak daytime heating, or at least closer to that by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we'll start to see some scattered showers and storms, probably strong and severe, popping up here from eastern Iowa, northwest Illinois, all the way south here into northeast Texas and Arkansas. And these storms could be packing a punch with widespread damaging winds, large hail, and in some instances, some embedded tornadoes that will progress off to the east. I think more of a QLCS line of storms, so more of a widespread damaging wind threat across Illinois here into Missouri, but the tornado threat may be maximized farther south into the southeastern Missouri, southern Illinois, eastern portions of Arkansas there, and into northeast Texas through Friday evening. That will push farther east on Saturday, maybe some thunderstorms that could be marginally severe down here across the western Carolinas, the Atlanta area there into Georgia and Alabama. But you see farther north, we have a snowstorm, a narrow swath of some heavier snow there through portions of Wisconsin, Michigan, into Ontario, Quebec, Canada. That continues here with some wraparound moisture, even some snowfall there for parts of Chicago, Detroit, and even upstate New England as we get through the Saturday evening time frame. So that will be very interesting to see that cold air on the back side of the system. And looking at the ensemble guidance, it does favor the heaviest snowfall up here across South Dakota, much of the Twin Cities region into Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. However, maybe an inch or two farther south, so southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois. Wouldn't be surprised if you see a dusting up to 2 inches of snow there through that weekend time frame. But by far the heaviest snow will be up across the upper Great Lakes, so the UP of Michigan there, northern Wisconsin, northern lower Michigan, Ontario, and Quebec, Canada. And again, across the northeast, maybe a couple of inches there getting through this upcoming weekend, going all the way through Sunday, April 2nd. But as we go into next week, we got another dynamic system, another powerful system coming in here We're going to reload the atmosphere again. We have that ridge across the eastern two-thirds of the country. Another strong trough will bring below normal temperatures out west again, and an active pattern. Yet again, going into the early portion of next week and quite likely beyond, we see some above normal precipitation out west and across the middle of the country here, and that does yield the chance for more heavy snow and even another potentially classic severe weather setup, potentially a tornado outbreak. So let's explain this here. We have a trough moving farther south on Sunday. This is on April 2nd now across the Pacific Northwest, probably bringing some heavy snow and some cooler air there. But this will quickly dive down into the Four Corners region by early next week on Monday, April 3rd. And this is a fairly significant trough. And as it moves across the Central Plains and then ejects somewhere across the mid-Mississippi Valley or the upper Midwest, we are going to have some very warm temperatures with that ridge across the eastern two-thirds of the country, and this system could prove to be even stronger than the system this week as we get into the early portion. And next week, this is on Tuesday, April 4th. So showing you the setup on Sunday here later on this upcoming weekend with that trough diving down across the Pacific Northwest and the West Coast. More heavy snow into those upper elevations. This also could include at least the northern Sierra Nevadas on Sunday. That will press across the Intermountain West and much of the north central Rockies with some heavy snow there. That may extend into western North Dakota on Monday. Maybe some showers, a couple elevated hail type of systems here across portions of the upper Midwest. Those likely will be sub-severe, but still have to watch out for some strong storms on Monday. And looking out west, we do have the chance for some decent snow. Like I said, across the Pacific Northwest, the Sierra Nevadas will add up another couple of feet of snow across some of the higher elevations early next week. This is April 2nd through April 4th. But look at the temperatures early next week on Monday. Ahead of the system, we're going to see even a stronger push of high temperatures into the 60s, 70s, and perhaps even our first 90s up here of the year across northwest Texas into southwestern Oklahoma on Monday. And with that dew point temperatures rising into the 60s as far north as southern Iowa and northern Missouri, and with that trough starting to eject across the country here, we're going to start to see the threat for severe weather. So I think severe storms are possible from northern Missouri down through the Kansas City region, portions there at Topeka, Wichita, Kansas, getting down as far south as the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex on Monday, early next week on the 3rd. And then you could see that Monday evening. We have another capping inversion. This is going to be a struggle for the storms even early next week with that ongoing drought. But we'll see if we can bust that cap, because if we can, supercell thunderstorms with all severe hazards would be possible as we go even into Tuesday morning. And you see a decent snowstorm up here across the Dakotas, eastern Montana, getting into Wyoming as well. Just some stratiform rain, some scattered elevated hail type of thunderstorms up here into Wisconsin and to western Michigan we'll watch by Tuesday morning. But then look at Tuesday, guys. Now this is a very significant setup if this does pan out this way. It has been a while since I have seen this type of setup. So on Tuesday morning, this is on April 4th, we have temperatures surging into the 70s, perhaps taking a run at 80 degrees into the Des Moines area, Omaha, and maybe closing in on the mid-70s in Chicago area, with that warm front going all the way up into the Midwest, and the dew points going into the mid-60s as far north as southern Wisconsin, eastern Iowa, and northern Illinois here, and even parts of Indiana, southern Michigan even on Tuesday. And look at how significant this trough is. This is the mid-level jet, and it takes a serious negative tilt here as we get into early portion of next week. Now, there are some timing differences of how deep this trough will be and the exact position of this, but this is a concerning signal here on the European forecast model, and an extremely impressive low-level jet at this distance as well, with over 60 knots of shear there. So that is a very impressive setup. So I think it is possible, if not likely, for severe storms up here across the upper Midwest, getting down through the Missouri Valley here, the Illinois Valley, and then down into the Arklatex again as that powerful systems move through. And it's not off the realm of possibility that we actually have a classic tornado outbreak unfold as we get towards the early portion of next week. So we will be fine-tuning this as we get closer. But on the snow side, it does look like some more heavy snow up far farther north, so into the Dakotas here, northern Minnesota here, and very close to the international border on the European forecast model. The Canadian model is pretty much in the same realm of things as well with the positioning of that system. But again, the outlier model, I think, is the GFS. It actually has this farther south. We'll continue to monitor this. It's a few days out, so we can't really fully discount the GFS. But right now, I think it's more the outlier and has the snow farther south into Nebraska and the Central Rockies. Well, definitely a very active pattern. Definitely, again, review all your severe weather preparedness plans because we have a very bumpy next couple of weeks ahead with more severe weather here across the middle of the country. Thanks, everybody, for watching. I definitely appreciate it. Remember to like the video down below, give it a thumbs up, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great Tuesday, everybody, a great rest of your week, and I will see you all in the next video.